The following podcast may contain strong language. Listener discretion is advised.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Hallmark of Greatness. I'm Joe, and with me as always, she's having to take extra shots of insulin after eating her own weight in maple syrup lollipops. It's Bernie!
Not made in the snow though, because it's far too hot.
It is like 1 billion degrees here. I believe it's something like 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like
I don't do Fahrenheit.
British. Yeah, I know, but it's really hot, so like if this is brief and terse, you know why. Because watching Christmas films where everyone's in the snow and you're sitting there with a fan you've cobbled together out of corrugated iron and bits of twigs. Yeah, it's we're still in Junemas, still foolishly ploughing through this. But before we get into the films and all that, if you want to keep up to date with all the Hallmark of Greatness gossip, you can follow us on Twitter at Hallmark of Great, all one word, or we are on Instagram and Facebook at Hallmark of Greatness. Also, if you haven't seen on Twitter and that, Mark is doing 1 million steps. Yes.
I know he made a typo with too many.
Yes, because I believe
zeros.
100 million steps would be to the sun. Or put him past the sun. Yeah, he's doing 1 million steps for Diabetes UK. So if you want to give him some money for that, you can do. I'll put the links in the show notes. And also, James is running 10k. Hopefully not in this weather, because I think he might die. That's for Mind, which is mental health charity. So if you have got a couple of spare quid, you don't have to, but if you have got a couple of spare quid and you want to give it to someone, give it them. That's about it, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right then, let's fully lean into this week's film. 2016's Journey Back to Christmas. This was recommended to us by my brother, who was supposed to be here today to make his official Higgins taking over the airwave debut, but has melted due to the heat, because he lives up a hill, so it's hotter. I don't know. But yes,
Slight hill.
it's a bit of a hill. Do you have a synopsis?
No.
No, fair enough. Whatever. The actual synopsis for this film. A World War II era nurse is transported back in time to 2016 and meets a man who helps her discover the bonds of family and the true meaning of Christmas is timeless. And that the true meaning of Christmas is timeless.
Sounds like a lovely film.
Starring Candice Cameron Bure, who we've had on before. I'm fairly sure she looks familiar. She looks a bit like non-union Christina Applegate. Yeah. And this is the link from last week's one. We actually got a link from this week. Oliver Hudson, who was, I think, Kyle in Black Christmas, is in this as Cop. Because I don't fucking remember anyone's names from this at all.
Jake.
Dottie is the only one I remember. And she's just an old lass in a chair for most of the film. Yes. This again, it get highly praised by our brother. Sorry, say that
He watched it. He watches it every year.
He said he watches it every year, and I was like, okay.
Has he bought it though? Because it was a pretty grainy quality that I watched.
It's probably on Channel 5 or something, or one of those 24/7 Christmas channels that opens up in like October, just after Halloween finishes. They just do Christmas films non-stop round the clock, don't they?
But this is an actual Hallmark one.
A legit Hallmark one that they showed on their Thanksgiving, which was weird.
Yeah, because the little barbel keeps coming up, doesn't it?
Yeah, which was
Christmas season.
But this is available on YouTube if you want to watch it. It clearly has had a lot of compression on it, because there was times it was hard to tell what was going on.
Yes.
That's not because it was like 30 frames per second. It's just because it was like 120p. It was like Lego. But let's get into it. Weirdly, we don't open with a shot of a town.
We have establishing shots.
Do we?
Always.
Okay. I thought for once we didn't. Maybe I blinked and missed it.
In the snow.
And we're introduced to Hannah, who is
Nurse Hannah,
who is doing nurse stuff in a hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. She's just going around, and it's all, and like, it's, does it say it's 1946?
Well, they're watching a newsreel, aren't they, her and Dottie?
Yes, they're in the cinema.
About the soldiers in the war, and she gets all upset because her husband's not come home, so she thinks he's dead.
That's the main arc of this.
And then they go check out the gazebo because it's getting some lights fitted.
Yep, as is the Christmas tradition in this small town. Every year they put lights in the gazebo and then sing 2 lines of the same song over and over and over again.
Was it Jingle Bells? I was like, guys, there's more than
I
one.
think it was Jingle Bells,
one
and then I
verse.
think it was We Wish You a Merry Christmas as well, but without the toddlers spitting on you, or sort of thing that you get when you get at schools. And then she goes to work in this hospital, and they're like, "Oh, you must come to the gazebo sing along because it's a Christmas tradition, and we can look at the comet." And I was like, "Ooh, is this going to go all like Heaven's Gate?" And like
Christmas comet.
Hannah and Dottie are going to put tracksuits on and kill themselves. They don't. And she's like, yes, I just go and have to check in on, what's he called? Timmy?
Roy? Toby?
Tobias?
No, it's
some
Toby.
little kid anyway,
Toby.
some little shitey kid.
I mentioned him further on. He must be Toby.
Possibly is Toby. He looks like a Toby. And she's reading him a story, and he's fiddling about with her camera. And it's all very... And he's like, this was a bit sort of weird. And he's like, is a comet a miracle? And she's like, well, I don't know. Only God does miracles. And I was, what's happening here? Then I forget it's actually a proper Hallmark film, so it's going to be very religion heavy. She goes, right, well, anyway, I've got to go now because I've got to go and look at this bandstand because there's nothing else to do in this town and my husband's dead. She walks off and he's like, oh, you've left your camera. Not very loudly, I hasten to add.
And starts messing around with film and whatnot.
I mean, later on, I'm like, that film would have degraded 70 years, and there's not a picture of his bum in there or anything. Anyway, so she sets off to go to this thing, and there's like an escaped dog. Ruffin, which annoyed me because that's not a dog's name, is it?
Ruffin. Well,
like a dog. It's like Scooby-Doo saying muffin.
And it's a golden retriever.
It is, and she's like, "Oh, I'll take you," because it's got a tag on, which you should do. So she takes it to this house, and they're like,
"Come in, crazy lady who's found our dog."
I mean, everyone's very friendly in this town, even in the future. Come in, because the storm's getting bad. And she's like, "Oh, okay, random people that aren't going to murder me." But then, for some reason, she has to leave. She gets in her car.
Yeah, it's not very... But then it feels very Wizard of Oz, because I don't know about you, but it went very black and white.
Yeah, and I don't know whether that was like... Because she's driving in the snow in her very old car, in her very old clothing, and the comet is there, and then it literally... like that sort of thing. And then she wakes up, and it's the future. Well, it's the 2016, so... And she's like, oh, the cars. Oh, the clothes. Oh, women have rights.
I think there was a kid on a scooter or something as well.
It was all very like low key.
My favourite bit was when she went to the health food shop.
I mean, I'm with her on that. It was like gluten-free toothpaste.
What is a gluten?
Yeah, that's. But she's like, some woman stops and she's like, are you all right, love? And she's going, oh, where am I? Like.
Where am I?
What? Oh, yeah. Sorry, nightmare. What place of man? And they go, oh, we best take you to the sheriff. And the sheriff goes, oh, we best take you to the doctors. And the doctor goes, does all the good tests of like shining the torch in their eyes. And he's like, well, what?
Who's the president?
What day is it?
Oh,
and she's
yeah.
like, it's December the 17th. And he goes, okay, easy one, that. And he's like, what's your name? And she goes, like, Hannah Nursington. And he goes, who's the president? And she goes, like, why, it's Dwight Eisenhower, you see? Or something like that. And he goes, no. And he goes, well, what year do you think it is? And she goes, it's 1946. And everyone goes, go. Like that. But the doctor says she's not got a concussion. She's not suffering from any sort of malady. And so they don't know what to do with her. And the cop goes, go on.
They suspect she's a con artist, so they want to like lock her up. But the cop in all Hallmark films says,
don't come and stay at my house, random person.
Promise not to murder you.
Even though, like, there would be a jail in this town, and, like, she could stay there at night until they could try and figure stuff out. She hasn't got a driving license, because apparently driving licenses weren't issued until 1950s, which I don't think is right at all, but whatever. It seems inaccurate. Where's your car? Oh, it's a car that doesn't exist anymore. It's an Edmonton or something, she says. Okay. But she goes to stay with this family, and, like, it's not his house because like he's still living with his mum, is it? There's a lot of people in his house. Is it his sister?
And niece? Who's the little kid? Who's very wise.
Yeah, knows all about olden days. It must be then. I don't know. But there's also like a lady cop who he's sort of friends with, and they're a bit sort of flirtatious. And But they went to school together and like they got like a love-hate relationship sort of thing. This house, right, immediately the sister or whoever it is like, no, she's a murderer and a con man and a grifter. Get her out of the house. And they're like, no, give her a chance. Like, she could be telling the truth. And I'm like, put her in a jail cell. Like,
No.
just until you've checked.
But
no.
alongside this, is there a teenager who made the call to the police or something when they found her? And his mum is just going mental at him. Like, she does not like Hannah Nursington at all. She just thinks she's going to burn down the town or something.
I bring the town into disrepute, I believe it, something like that. And I'm like, there's nobody in this town.
It's a really pointless side story. I don't understand.
The only person that seems to trust her is the cop, Jake. Everyone else is, and the small child. Everyone else seems to think that she's some sort of grifter or con man, and it's very confusing. But she goes to bed and she's like, oh, wakes up the next day, and the kid's on an iPad, and she's like, what is computer? And all this sort of stuff, and you're like, oh, it's kind of rubbish. And then there's like a whole series of these, like where she goes out of the house. She goes into what used to be her house, but is now like a healthy food stall, like shop. And she's like, my tumble dryer was over here, and my kitchen was over here.
She wouldn't have had a tumble dryer.
I don't know. All right, my mangle was over here.
Mangle, that's a cool name.
It's just, and the woman behind the counter is like, okay, I'm just going to phone someone. And then like the cop shows up again. But the woman and like the sister are watching her through the window. Like they're spending all their Christmas.
They quickly turn it around. They're like, oh, she's not insane. We've known her for a day, so let's go and buy her some Ugg boots. Yeah,
that was weird. But yeah, they're watching her through the window. Like they've spent their Christmas like preparations just deciding to follow a woman around town, as you do. And then like they buy her these Ugg boots. And ladies in the olden days always wore high heels. And yeah, because anyone who didn't was a slattern, and we would burn them at the stake. The thing is, there's a lot of this film where it is just people going, look at this modern thing, and her going, what is modern thing? And it's kind of like, after the first 4, I was a bit like, okay, we get it, she's from the past, right, and she's in the future. But eventually, like, enough people start to believe her, and she's like, oh, why aren't we all decorating the gazebo?
Yeah.
And everyone went,
and
why?
Carol singing.
And everyone's like, no, we don't do that anymore. We just do drugs, and like it's so sort of rubbish. She goes, no, they'll still be there. Let's go to the hospital. And the hospital is now a library. And she goes, there was a door there and a door, and there's a door here to the basement. And then goes, wow, we've never seen that door in the 50 years this has been a library. They go down into this basement. She's got a key on her, which opens up this, just a metal locker, like a very thin metal locker that anyone could have prized open if they wanted to know what was inside it. And inside it, a load of Christmas tree lights that I guarantee you are not up to
no
regulation now. Like
they've not been pat tested for a good couple of years.
Pat testing didn't exist back then. They're probably full of like radioactive chemicals and shit. But they go, oh, there's someone here who wants to see you. And an old man comes down the stairs and he's like, Hannah. And she goes, yes, old man. And he goes, don't you recognize me? I'm Toby. And she goes, but how? And it's like, you've time traveled. Christ. Like, it's not difficult.
She's just not getting it.
She spends so much time like wistfully looking around at things, and it makes no sense. But she goes, it's me, look. And he takes her back to like the house where she took roughing.
Yes.
And he's now turned that into a dog sanctuary / school for the blind? ? Well,
it covers the dogs as well, doesn't it? They can get trained up to help.
Yeah. Sorry, not school for the blind. Like he's training the dogs to assist blind people. I don't know what the name for that is. And she's like, wow, this looks really like the house from the sexual assault snowman film. And he goes, yeah, it is. We've only got 2 houses that we use for internal shots. And he goes, but it was, they were going to smash the hospital down. I bought it, turned it into a library because of my love of books, because you used to read to me. And she's like, oh, that's great. So anyway, how do I get back then? And he goes, hang on, I've got someone who you need to see. And so he takes her to go and see Dottie, who is the woman she went to the cinema with at the start. We saw for 3 minutes, if that.
Yeah.
And she is old now.
In a home.
More than 20. In a home, just staring out the window, like near a Christmas tree. And this bit, I genuinely thought was a bit sad. I teared up a little bit of this because I was just like, oh, just put a pillow over her face. Like, just, it's no life, is it? Like, just sitting there shitting your pants. Well, I mean, that bit's all right, but I do that now. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's not for me. But she comes in and like, Toby's like, hi, Dottie, it's me. It's Toby. And she's like, does nothing. And Hannah goes, is she responsive to anything? And the nurse lady goes, no, she just sits there. And like we just put it into her face twice a day. Like she's all right. Sits down in front of her and goes, Dottie, it's me, Hannah. I was like, if she was suffering from dementia or something, this is not what you need, is it? Like it coming true.
But the cop is just rifling through Dottie's stuff.
The cop, innit? He's looking for money behind the clock. And Dottie says, like that to her. And she goes, what?
I'd forgotten that bit.
Yeah, it's odd because I was like, I tried putting the subtitles on, but there wasn't any. And then the cop goes, hey, look at this. It's a picture of the comet. And it's a postcard from Hannah Nursington, saying, hello from the sunshine. We're celebrating our anniversary, 30 years of knowing each other. And Hannah goes, but no, we didn't. He died. He died. And then they go to like the war memorial and her husband's name's not there. And she gets quite irate at this. And I would have been like, if his name's not there and you've got a postcard from the now saying that you met him again, then obviously he didn't die, did he? Like, come on. It's not Columbo levels of crime solving, this, is it? But yeah, so it turns out that he isn't dead. And it wasn't that Dottie said. It was Comet, apparently. The comet is the key to all this. It's a Christmas wish comet, apparently. Still with us? Good. Because it only gets worse from here.
Toby's still got her camera, but he hasn't developed the film at all while he's had it.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's an old sort of box brownie sort of thing. It would have perished by now, especially with him fiddling with it all the time. But she takes a picture of the dog and it runs out of film. He goes, I can get that developed. And like Jake goes, it's all digital now. And she turns around and goes, what? It was like,
here we go
stop
again,
overloading her brain with information that she doesn't need. I thought it could be all thingy now, couldn't it? If she goes back knowing what she knows now, she could proper Biff Tannen the future. Like,
she could invent digital cameras, or
she doesn't though, does she? She just squeezes out a load of kids probably and
nail them lights to the gazebo so they're there all year round.
Because I thought, right, well, we'll get to that, but I thought there was going to be a bit at the end where she was going to be like, it's me, come out of the gazebo. But she doesn't. And so like they're like, it's the comet, it's the Christmas wish comet. The little kid's like, yeah, it comes around every 70 years on Christmas Eve or some nonsense. And Tobias is like, oh, it could be a miracle. And I'm like, get over it, Tobias. Toby,
like
whatever he was
miracles.
called. Yeah, they keep
They go caroling and they all dressed up in like 1940s clothes.
In period costume.
From the cop who's just got that massive hat from somewhere.
He's the cruiser. He's the cruising crooner, however it is.
Bloody awful it is.
But yeah, they go a wassailing, and then they're like, "Oh, we'll take you out to where we found you when the comet comes over, and it'll take you back because that's your wish or something."
Oh, hang on! Before all this, they all believe her now because Jake found her handbag, and in that handbag was a bottle of perfume.
Yeah.
Now, this was my favourite bit of knowledge.
This is like CSI, this, yeah.
It must be a slow day in their lab because he sent it to the lab and it hasn't oxidized yet, so it's legit.
Yeah, they haven't made it since the 50s. And she's like, well, she could have bought it off the internet. No, it hasn't oxidized.
No,
I was like,
it hasn't
what does
oxidized.
that mean?
It was from 2 days ago, was the last time it was over. I was like, really?
But yeah, so that was the evidence that they all needed. Was a bottle of perfume was to believe that, yeah, she was telling the truth. So they take it to the gazebo. They're all singing around the gazebo. And then, like, the little kid's like, I want to see the comet. And they're like, it's not here yet. Like, calm down. Also, we live in a town, so it's very bright. You probably won't be able to see it anyway. And then, like, did they push Hannah in a barn?
Yeah.
They just push her in a shed. And they're like, right, back to the past with you.
When it was the storm, she could only get into the shed because when she got out, she had to climb out through the roof window.
Okay. So the shed is the portal. Right, okay.
They've pushed her back in that shed.
Because I was like, why are they pushing her in a shed? Yeah. And then the comet passes over and they all go, ooh. like that. And then like old Toby goes over, opens the shed and goes, "She's gone." And I was like, "This is terrible."
What I thought was going to happen.
She could. No, I thought something was going to happen, or at least something.
Well,
No.
to be honest, I thought she'd stay with Jake. I didn't think she'd go back into the shed.
Because her husband's not dead. Yeah, It was weird because Jake. Oh, but before she goes, she says to Jake as well. She's like, "Oh, me and my husband knew each other from when we were 8, and he used to pull my pigtails and push me over, and I see that with you and Girl Cop." And he's like, "Yeah, we are." So she's like, "Well, that's the basis for a good relationship." And I'm like, "Is it?" But anyway, she's disappeared now, and then Toby goes, "Oh, I've got the photographs here off her camera," and they're all just pictures of old. It's like there's a picture of young Toby in there, and then there's a picture of Jake's great grandfather in there, and Toby
Were
goes,
these the ones that own the farm or something?
Who knows? And yeah, but like Toby goes, "Oh yeah, they Hannah introduced them because she was a nice person like that." And like the mum who's been kind of knobby all the way through it goes, "Oh, if it wasn't for Hannah, then none of us would be here." And then they all jump in the air and high five. That doesn't happen.
God bless us, everyone.
It feels like that was the end of the film, and they're like, and they all like one of them Snoopy dancing. But that's not it. You think it's done, but like, what's happened to Hannah? She's gone even further into the future. It's now 2086, and Father Christmas is a robot. No, she's gone back. I think she's digging her car out. And then a man who we've never met before in an army uniform appears and goes, "You should have got your husband to do that." And I was like, 70 years in the past, how quickly we forget. And then she goes, "Oh my God, you're not dead, even though I knew you weren't dead because I've been to the future and you were alive."
Does she remember the future though? Does they say that? She's like, "Do you think you'll remember us?" And she's like, "I don't know. I've never travelled by comet before."
It's the first time for everything. I don't know then, actually. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. And
also, when did the Second World War end? Was it 45?
1945.
So
yeah.
if she's in 46, he's just been walking around with his soldier uniform.
He could have been a prisoner of war. He was missing in action.
Ah, okay.
What she said. So he could have been a POW, or he could have been doing sneaky stuff. Or we don't know. That would have been too much character to put into anyone, like an actual backstory and things. And yeah, then it just sort of ends.
They have a smooch because they're married, so they're allowed to smooch.
Allowed, and it's Christmas. But yeah, then it sort of ends. There was also a weird bit when they were passing their photos out where there was they showed the star on top of the pagoda, on top of the bandstand, but there was someone's face in the middle of it, I thought. But it could have just been the blurry way we
Hannah.
watched it. That's what I was thinking. It was like she's always watching now. But I thought then it was going to cut back to them, and old Hannah and old husband were going to come out and be like, "It's us from the past. Do you remember?" But they don't. They just kiss, and that's the end. And it was kind of like, it was fine. It was different from a normal Christmas film because it wasn't Hannah and Jake who got together.
Which is what I was fully expecting.
Yeah, that was the twist in it, I guess. But yeah,
especially when she put on 2016 clothes and he was just like, "Whoa," and started rubbing his thighs.
Oh, and he went and he put a record on, and she was like, "Wow, CDs!" And then they did like awkward slow dancing.
Yeah.
I can see why Darren likes it. To be fair, it's a Christmas film.
Yeah.
It's very short. It's like less than 90 minutes. But
I think I'd have enjoyed it more if it wasn't so grainy.
Yeah, I don't know. She's got something kind of an annoying face. There was dogs, which is always a plus. That's gone up and makes it go up in my estimations. But yeah, your score?
3 lit up gazebos.
Oh, that's quite a lot of gazebos. I'm going to give it 4 bronze corroded film cameras. Just because, maybe if I watched it in like a higher res and it wasn't like, what's going on quite so much, it might have been nicer. But I don't really like her. She seems very overacty for me. So
if they'd have done it with V-Hudge, it would have been amazing.
Oh yeah. Because it would have been part of the Netflix cinematic Christmas universe.
The top of that gazebo would have been a giant acorn.
Big acorn, like that. Poof, and then she pops out at the end as an old lady. Because I bet V-Hudge wouldn't mind, holding up, putting all egg white on her face or whatever it is they use. Yeah.
Director was Mel Damsky.
Adamski?
Adamski. Quote, he has directed dozens of movies and hundreds of episodes for TV, which made me giggle. So I was like,
That's just
only a dozen movies.
Too many to mention.
His most famous being Psych. He's done 23 episodes for that. And then MASH. He's done 1 episode for MASH.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
2016. MASH ended in like 1977, I think.
He's done a few old things like 70s, 80s.
Oh,
stuff.
okay. Fair enough.
But obviously more recently he's done a lot more Hallmarks. He's done Homegrown Christmas, Coming Home for Christmas, Christmas Getaway. And he's also done one.
Come on.
With the theme on a boat.
Oh, go on.
Love
Christmas
at
on a
Sea.
boat. Love at Sea?
Yeah.
Is that the one we did the other day?
No, that's called... What was that called?
Love Adrift.
Love Afloat.
Love
Love
Afloat.
Adrift.
No. Love Adrifter. Ooh, don't make them anymore.
Hannah, we have seen Hannah before. She's played by Camden Bure. Her Christmas films include A Christmas Detour, A Shoe Addict's Christmas,
Oh, yes, please.
and Christmas Under Wraps, which we covered in October 22.
There you go. If you want to go back and listen to that, do, because I don't remember it.
A fun fact for her was her first acting job was a commercial for Mutual of Omaha Insurance, and the commercial never aired.
Oh, mate. Imagine that she got everyone round and was like, right, this is my
Here
big
it
thing.
is.
And it was for, what was it, commercial suppositories? Yeah. And yeah. Oh, what a shame.
Omaha Insurance.
Oh, yeah, Omaha Insurance. I got suppositories from.
As mentioned before, Jake the Cop was played by Oliver Hudson. He played Doug in the Christmas Chronicles,
He did.
which you and the previous hosts covered on the 19th of December 21, just in case anybody wanted to listen to that
Go
one.
back and listen to those ones.
He was in a few episodes of Dawson's Creek as Eddie Doling. I've never watched Dawson's Creek. I don't know. And a fun fact, his mother, Goldie Hawn,
What?
was
Yes.
pregnant with him for 10 months.
Lazy Oliver Hudson.
He was born breathing in her womb and had massive bacteria in his lungs. He was 11 pounds.
Christ, Goldie Hawn. No wonder you look like the way you do now. Breathing inside her. Ugh.
Yes, it was, yeah. So
No.
that was a gross
That's
fact there.
Terrible.
But I didn't realise Goldie Hawn was his mum.
Yeah, I think it has been mentioned before, and every time I find that out, I go, what? Because
And that he was a massive baby.
we never covered the 11-pound baby before, I don't think.
That's it. It's been too hot to research.
Oh,
further.
that's fair enough. I was just because Goldie Hawn's only tiny. She's only a wee lass. That's like an entire leg falling out of her. Yeah. Universally loved this film, but I will say that comes with a caveat. 7 out of 10, way above the average Hallmark movie by Christmas Reviewer 30. 29 people got that name before he did. Right? And this is all caps, right? Beware of false reviews and reviewers. Some reviewers have only 1 review to their name. Now, when it is a positive review, that tells me that they were involved with the movie. If it is a negative review, then they might have a grudge against the film. I have reviewed over 200 holiday films.
Oh my God.
I have no agenda. I am honest. Right? That's all in caps. Like
That's all
I'm
in
assuming
caps, okay?
they put that on every review they do. It feels like.
Copy and paste.
And then we get into the actual 201 review. I disagree with Candace Cameron Bure on politics. I can push that aside to watch her films on the Hallmark Channel. Most of them are great, and she has such a pleasantness that makes her films worth watching. Journey Back to Christmas is one of those films that might not have worked if the cast was someone else. She proves her star power here. She carries the film on her shoulders and makes it look easy. I'm assuming Candace Bure is a fucking Trump person then. She looks like the type, doesn't she? In this film, she plays a World War II era nurse who is transported in town in 2016 and meets a man who helps her discover the bonds of family and the true meaning of Christmas. Oliver Hudson co-stars. In between the lines, the film shows, without preaching, that we all have to have faith in others. If we don't have faith, then we have nothing. I will watch this again.
Okay.
Congratulations, Candice. This is your best Hallmark movie. Looking forward to more. And I was like, is it? Is it now? Because I don't know. And then I only put this one because there was... Oh, no, I didn't put the one up where the guy was like, she would never be seen by a black doctor. I was like, yeah. 10 out of 10. It's nice to see that there are more dreamers than believers. It Made Me Cry by Ed Sullivan.
Nice.
Nice. I just love this film. If you are over the age of 50, you must have memories of your own younger self. Only people over 50 can remember the past. I can't wait till I get there because I got a fucking clue what's going on a day-to-day basis. I can only wish now that you could have held on to some of your own personal belongings, artifacts. Maybe it's that special basketball glove or hockey cards, toys, books, record albums, report cards, Christmas Day, just listing things that he wishes he had. I lost it all in a fire when she left. Journey Back to Christmas helps bring back some of my own memories from decades ago, as I was a nurse who had an annoying child. From decades ago, and as this Christmas-themed film's intentions was to help us determine if we are either believers in the unfamiliar or lean more towards skeptics, it's obvious that we are better off if we believe in miracles, or at a minimum, that our hearts and minds remain open to other people's opinions and beliefs. And I thought, this is a bit...
It's a bit preachy, isn't it?
Yeah. Everyone's performances were enjoyable. Darn it, if they didn't make me cry a few times throughout the retrospective and nostalgic Christus tale. See, you fucking...
Did he have a stroke there at the
Christmas
end?
Reviewer 30 wouldn't have let this poor spelling get through. There's 201 reviews. Of course, this is a film about stirring up the Christmas spirit in all of us, and much like many of our fondest memories, as time fades, so do many of the practices. A picture can tell 1,000 stories, and Journey Back to Christmas is a most enjoyable Christmas classic.
Aww.
I don't think it is. It's all right. And like I said, if it was on again on proper telly, I'd probably watch it again.
Yeah.
Just so I could see what was going on. but other than that, yeah, it was fine. Like, didn't hate it.
It's the best thing I think we've seen so far this year.
I mean, it's not a very high bar to hit, though, is it?
No, it's really not. But look what happens. Somebody else recommends a film.
This is
and
it.
We actually quite enjoyed it.
So it's up to you. Yes, you, the listener. Get in touch, because we need films that are not terrible. Films that you've seen would be good and go, it wasn't terrible. Because otherwise we're just going to keep getting randomly suggested ones of Amazon and they're all terrible. I was going through yesterday trying to find something to watch. Just like normal watching, like a film. And there's just so much stuff that's called like Pancake Madness and stuff like that. And you're like, I don't want a love story that's based around pancakes. I've already done pizza and Christmas
Unless it's on a food truck.
Unless that fat kid comes back and we find out what crime he committed. Right? But yeah, I've done all the food stuff, chocolate, cookies, all of it, like something better. So this was because this was different, and that's something.
Yes.
But that's all it had going for it. Yeah, in conclusion, that was 2016's, what was it called? I can't even remember.
Journey Back to the Centre of
Journey
Christmas.
into the Christmas Past, Ghost of the Future. I don't know. I'm very sweaty. This tiny fan's doing nothing. I would say your favourite line from the film, but I honestly cannot
I've got
remember.
Because it made me laugh. I like snow. Do you like snow? Because it made me laugh. Do you like circuses? We should ask everyone. I like snow. Do you like snow?
I think my favourite line is... Crumpets! Get Dotty your crumpets, stop!
She can't eat it, she can't chew.
Of course she can.
She can stare at it.
Say goodbye. And not making his debut because his child has diarrhea.